Hello, everyone, and welcome to the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your hosts, Dominick Dougherty and Drew Fasy.
And we are your local guys.
Drew, did you see that here in 2024? There was no thinking; it would just automatically point in the wrong direction to point at you.
It was extremely impressive, Dom.
Lot less
Extremely
steam
impressive.
over here.
As
Well, Happy New Year, bud. This is our first episode of 2024.
And welcome back.
Recording in 2024, I should say, because we did get one live earlier, but we recorded that before the new year.
We did. And welcome back to from your vacation.
Yes, it was a great time, and kind of wish I was still there because it was not 17 degrees when I woke up.
Well, it's funny. So I've been having this conversation. I had this conversation a couple times. Everything is relative. So I was talking to a friend of mine who's down in Florida. I talked to him last week, and it was 55 degrees. And that's frigid for Florida, right? The natives are wearing parkas at 55.
Oh yeah.
Right. At the time, it was around 55 degrees here. You remember we had a couple pretty nice days last week. And
I wasn't here.
Oh, that's right. You weren't. Well, we did. We had a couple very mild days that was sunny and 55 degrees. Well, 55 in January in Ocean City, I was in shorts and flip-flops. That's balmy weather, right?
Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
And to make it all feel relative, my son went back to college at Colorado State on Sunday, and when he landed in Denver, the temperature was minus 20.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if we're complaining about the cold today and they're complaining about 55 in Florida, it's all relative.
I'll tell you what, man, where I was, it was like local summer weather every single day. 75, 77 during the day, 55 at night.
Beautiful.
It was perfect. No humidity, super dry. The sun was still like hot, so you could get a little tan. We did have one day though where it never really got out of it stayed like in the 50s, and that was cold. It was cold that day. It was a bummer too. We were at this beautiful place, this national park down there. That was pretty cool. But it ended up being
we'll share with our listeners where you went.
I went to Baja California Sur, so down like by Cabo San Lucas.
You don't have to call me sir.
Just no one does, Drew. Don't worry, nobody does. So yeah, it was cool. We stayed in an up and coming town that's grown a lot in the past 5 years. Cerritos, good surfing. We traveled all along the west coast of the Baja Peninsula, the southern Baja Peninsula. It was super fun.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah. So definitely.
And you went to see there's a Colorado State campus in Cabo.
There is. It's actually in Todos Santos, which was about 10, 15 minutes north of where we were staying. And it was quite an adventure to get there, actually. To the road that we originally took to get there was blocked by a horse. So we had to turn around, and we ended up finding an actual paved road, which in Todos Santos and La Paz and Cabo, there's all paved roads. But you get outside of there and off the highway, there's really not many paved roads. So, and even in Todos Santos, there's a good bit of dirt roads too. But this horse was holding up traffic, so we turned around.
I know Benny wanted to get out there and ride that thing off the road, didn't he?
No, the horse kind of just looked at us like, "What are you gringos doing? And why are you trying to drive on this dirt road? Like, there's a paved road literally a block away if you just go out and make a right." So we found that, and we got to the campus hoping there was a gift shop. So, you could be like that parent that's flexing when you go out to visit. Like, yeah, I got the Baja campus shirt. Like,
I loved it.
unfortunately, there was no gift shop. The whole campus was, probably half an Ocean City block and had
Is that right?
3 buildings on it. It was attached to a really nice restaurant, though, that had incredible bone marrow and beef. So I wonder if they were affiliated in some way.
Hmm.
So, but
Well, that is in consideration for my son when he does his semester abroad. I think he wants to go to Europe more than Cabo, but we'll see.
hey man, it's all good.
Yeah,
It's all good as long as you get out of -20 for a little while. I'm sure you'll be fine.
100%.
Yeah, man. But speaking of which, it's a good time to remind us all of brighter things. So we'll start our official Memorial Day countdown.
Let's go.
130 days until Memorial Day.
Wow.
130 days.
Wow.
It'll be here before we know it.
So I have a question, but I'm afraid to ask it because I'm afraid that if I do ask it, then you're going to Google the answer.
I will not Google.
The question
Hands
is,
up.
how many days since Labor Day? Like where are we falling right now? We're not quite halfway, are we? Between Labor Day and Memorial Day?
Now I really want to Google to find out if
I
I'm
know
halfway.
you do. Keep those hands in the air, my friend.
Well, let's see. Labor Day was September 1st or September 2nd or something like that. Let's just say the 5th to call it even. So you got
September, October, November, December. If it's 30
December.
days each.
In January, you got 4. So yeah, we probably are exactly about halfway.
We're probably halfway. Yeah.
Yeah, we're probably almost exactly halfway. Wow.
Yeah.
What a good time to start.
Yes, sir.
So
do you want to get started?
I guess, man. I mean, it's the dark days of winter here.
It
part
is.
one.
We are in the dark days of winter. The good news, Dom, the good news is that since December 21st, the winter solstice, we are gaining roughly 2.5 minutes of sunlight per day.
That is amazing. I've noticed it. I've noticed that, it's like 5, a little after 5, and you can still see some sunlight. And
I've noticed it as well.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
It's still cold as a what, but at least we're getting a little more sunlight.
Yeah, 100%. So,
all right. So before I do the shout outs, I actually have a piece of sad news.
Oh no.
We have a 2016 Ocean City High School graduate, Connor Laverty, who sadly passed away just 3 days shy of his 26th birthday. Connor was an outstanding basketball player. In fact, Connor's team when he was a sophomore was when my interest in the boys team was kind of reignited. Prior to that, for several years prior to that, the boys were hard to watch, man. They were just hard to watch. The girls were always competitive. Whether they won or lost, they were competitive and fun to watch under Paul Baruffi. But the boys were sometimes hard to watch. When Connor came along, it became more exciting. So Connor was scored over 1,100 points for Ocean City, and then went on to score over 1,000 points for Widener University. And by all accounts, Connor was also an outstanding young man. Not just an outstanding basketball player, but everyone who speaks about Connor just speaks about his character and personality and leadership traits. So I wanted to give our condolences to the Laverty family and all of Connor's friends. Now on to shout out. So while we're on basketball, the OCHS boys team are 9-2 on the season and ranked number 8 in the press 11. Now they, as you know, they went to the state, the Group 3 state final last year out of nowhere, really. And I honestly can't remember the last time the boys were ranked.
Yeah, they're ranked ahead of Mainland and
Yes.
Atlantic City.
Yes.
So
we want to talk about that, don't we, Dom?
I do want to talk about that because
let's talk about that. But let me give one more shout out before we do, because I only have 2 tonight, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
The other shout out is to Reverend Gregory Johnson. A lot of people know Reverend Johnson, Ocean City guy. During the Ocean City Martin Luther King Day celebration, Greg delivers an amazing rendition of the "I Have a Dream" speech by Martin Luther King Jr. If you've never seen it, I'm telling you, put it on your calendar for next year to go to the Tabernacle for no other reason than to listen to Reverend Johnson give the "I Have a Dream" speech. It's the hairs on your arms will stand up. It's incredible. Cool. So I wanted to give a shout out to Greg Johnson. He's a great guy. He's a super guy. And so shout out to Reverend Greg Johnson.
Like I said, definitely something I'd like to check out. That'd be cool.
Yeah, very cool. So do you want to talk about Atlantic City and Mainland?
Only for the fact that, the boys team here is really good. And, I'm sure that when playoff time comes around, you want the best teams in the playoffs. So, when you go on and you are successful, you don't have people saying, well, this team wasn't in there. This team didn't make it. This team didn't get to play. And, Mainland and Atlantic City were in a heated game.
Yeah. So we'll give a little background. Last week, Mainland played Atlantic City. Both teams at Mainland. Both teams ranked in the press 11. Both teams really good basketball teams, right? Really good basketball teams. So they played each other, close game. Atlantic City ended up winning that game.
Yep, by 1 point with 1 point. Seconds left.
At the end of the third quarter, there was an altercation, a little bit of jawing, right? Timeout was called. Teams were going to their benches. The Atlantic City High School coach took exception to one of the Mainland players and went over to the bench heatedly to let him know he wasn't happy, right? The Mainland coach intervened. Players intervened. Atlantic City players left their bench. Mainland players left their bench. No punches were thrown, but
it was broken up very quickly and very peacefully.
Yes.
It wasn't like a melee ensued or...
No, it wasn't like the Camden Gloucester County game last year.
No,
where it kind of became a riot and punches were thrown and players were in fights and fans were it was not like that.
Well, prior to the AC coach going over there, he got gotten a technical for he was he was pretty much out on the court going back and forth with the refs. They finally teed him up before the altercation took place.
Right.
What came down though the next day was there's a NJ.
Wait, before that, so what came out of that altercation was that 3 Atlantic City players were ejected, for leaving their bench, and 2 mainland players were ejected for leaving their bench. Right?
Yep.
And go ahead, you can continue.
And then according to this rule, if you have 3 players ejected for leaving the bench, you get your tournament time at the end of the season, or you're ineligible to play in the tournaments at the end of the season. So Atlantic City is now no longer eligible to play in the Cal tournament or in the Group 4 state playoffs.
This is a top 11 ranked team that is, as of now, not eligible to play in the state tournament.
Yeah, and that's a shame for those kids. They work hard. They're clearly a very talented team. They've always had a great program there. Basketball was, it's a basketball school over there in AC. And it's a shame for them, and it's a shame for the other teams in the Cal and in Group 4, because they're not going to get to really play against the best.
Yeah, going to be a little bit of an asterisk in the playoffs, right? So before we move on from that, so in my opinion, Dom, having seen it, it started with the coach. It is a shame for the players. I feel really bad for those kids. Really bad for those kids. Imagine being a senior basketball player at Atlantic City High, having played 4 years, and those kids are dedicated, man. They put their heart and soul into their sport, right? Imagine being a senior and being on this team, being a really good team, and you're not going to be able to, compete for the in the state tournament. And I blame the coach, because that coach was out of hand that night and should never, ever, ever have gone over to the mainland bench, ever. Shouldn't happen, never happened.
After he got teed up, he should have been
a wake-up call
a little bit.
Yeah.
When I was watching it before he got teed up, he got a lot of chances to just kind of, simmer down now. I've been in some situations like that with some refs, and I've realized, all right, hey, one time in a flag league last spring, I remember this guy called a safety, and it was such a horrible call, and we were going back and forth, and all I heard on the sideline was my buddy's wife going, nothing, say nothing. And he asked me a question. I was just like, nothing. And it was just like a little angel whispering to me, because I was ready to keep going. But you can't. You got to be the example for the kids. And
you absolutely do. And that's the point.
You
have to be the adult in the room, and you have to set an example for those kids. And they are kids. I know, some of them are 18 years old, but they're still kids. You're still coaching at a school. Now, having said that, if you look at that film, how many mainland players do you see on that court, Dom?
A lot more than 2.
I think at Atlantic City, in my opinion, based on the video that I've seen, and again, I want to make it very clear, I think the bulk of responsibility of this entire thing goes on the shoulders of the Atlantic City High School coach. Okay.
Yeah.
However, Atlantic City received 3 ejections for leaving their bench. Mainland received only 2. And granted, it was a timeout, so the kids are allowed to be up and be on the court, right? But there was more than 2 players that were in the inner circle of that altercation.
Yeah. And you can see the video on the Press of Atlantic City if anybody wants to go see it. It is linked there. You can see the altercation. You can see what we're talking about. I did notice too that it looked like some spectators entered the court though for Atlantic City peacefully to kind of corral their kids and get their people back.
Yeah.
But again, it was nothing like what happened in the Camden game. It was not
a
brouhaha. There was never at one point No, never at one
No.
point was I like, oh man, this is going to get bad quick. It was more like everybody kind of was just in a heated game, and they came together, and they separated, and things went well. And AC went on to win the game, but unfortunately, it seems like they're not going to have that opportunity to show out at the end of the season.
So, Dom, my understanding is there is an appeals process. Atlantic City is appealing the decision. I'm hoping that decision is overturned and Atlantic City is allowed to compete.
Definitely, 100%.
I hope those kids get the opportunity. I really do.
Sure.
They deserve
for sure.
It. Yeah.
If anything, maybe they do like a Michigan situation where the head coach isn't allowed to be on the sidelines for the tournaments or something like that.
I'd be okay with that. Yeah.
Something along those lines. So NJSIAA, if you're listening, there you go. There's a solution. Look to the NCAA.
You heard it from Dom.
For what you should do. So, but no, man, there's it's an unfortunate thing, but there's lots of other good stuff happening here, even in these dark days of winter. You mentioned that Reverend Johnson gave the riveting speech for Martin Luther King Day. Also, in honor of Martin Luther King Day, there's a non-perishable food drive going on right now. If you want to drop off your canned goods, you can do so today and Friday, or through the 20th. I think that's might be till Monday. So even over the weekend, you can drop them off at Atlantic City, or not Atlantic City. I got Atlantic City on the brain. You can drop them off at City Hall at the 9th Street entrance. So right there, the big steps that you walk up. You can see that there. And speaking of City Hall,
that all goes to the food cupboard. And those folks, they can use all the help they can get this time of year.
Definitely, especially after the holidays and I'm sure all the great things they did for the community. For Thanksgiving and Christmas, they need to restock those shelves.
Yeah.
So if you have some stuff in your pantry, or if you just feel like put a couple extra items in your cart at the Acme, do so and stop by and drop them off. Like I said, at that 9th Street entrance of City Hall. And as I was saying, speaking of City Hall, if you go to the library right now, in front, before you go into the entrance of the library, there's that vestibule, and they actually have a tribute to the architect of City Hall. It's Vivian, correct?
Vivian K. Smith.
Vivian K. Smith.
Mr. Vivian K. Smith.
I was working there this morning. I almost took a picture and sent it to you, just to give you a hard time this morning.
Why were you working at the library today, Dom?
Happy wife, happy life, Drew. That's all I'm going to say with that one.
Okay.
Happy wife, happy life. So
I'm sorry, I could not help myself.
Hey man, listen, I get it. I see her point of view. She works at night, and for a long, long time, she would have the house to herself. And now all of a sudden, I'm here being annoying, like most husbands are, I'd imagine.
But you're breathing. Of course you're annoying.
That's true. That's true. But go there one day a week. It's kind of nice because, I work remote, so I don't see a lot of people. So ran into my buddy Chris today, ran into a family member of one of our junior Raiders players the other day. Her son actually was the first recipient of something cool that's going on here in town. The police are promoting bike safety. So if you are out on your bike and you are a juvenile and you are wearing a helmet and you're following good bike safety laws, there's a chance that you may get stopped by the police, and they're going to give you a gift certificate for 2 slices of pizza and a soda at either Macamanco's, Randazzo's, or Mario's.
Or Express.
Express is closed right now.
They are?
They are. I think they closed for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But I just remember seeing on their social media last chance to get it for till like February.
Ooh, okay.
But no, Carter Churon and Jude Baltos are
Jude, I saw them.
two junior Raiders players. Were the first two recipients of these gift certificates for pizza. So shout out to them for
So that's a bicycle safety campaign being put on by the Ocean City Police Department, the Police Officers Union, the PBA Local 61, and the school district, along with those four restaurants: Express Pizza, Manco and Manco Pizza, Mario's Restaurant, and Randazzo's Pizzeria.
Yep,
So,
all out there supporting the kids. So
yep.
that's a super good thing, especially to encourage bike safety. That's a topic that we haven't touched on yet. Especially with e-bikes and all that fun stuff. So,
there's several things. We'll schedule an episode on that because there's a couple things coming up.
And if you want to become a citizen member of the police department, the Citizens Police Academy has opened up their applications. You can click the link on and find the link on the OCNJ Daily to apply. It looks pretty cool. They have everything from, canine units, traffic safety, marine units, detectives, administrative work. Kind of get to see a little bit behind the scenes of everything and see how the police operate here.
That's a neat program. So that program was started by Chief Prettyman a couple of years ago, and it offers residents the opportunity to learn about the internal operations of the police department. And it's kind of an extension, I would think, like an intellectual extension of the community policing unit, right? The idea of the community policing unit is to have cops on bikes in the neighborhoods interacting. Well, this is a way to bring residents in and interact and kind of learn the operation. So it's kind of cool.
Yep, it's free. It's free to sign up if you're a resident. Classes run from February 29th to May 2nd. So if you're looking for something to do in these dark days, go over to the Daily, click the article, and you'll find the link to the application and sign up. So Drew, I know you're excited to get that started. You got the haircut, you're ready, signing up.
That I got hair and makeup today for pre-production. Did you not?
I did not.
Drew. Didn't have hair and makeup in pre-production?
Did not. I missed that one, unfortunately. So, the other thing that's really happened here in the first half of winter, let's say, is we've gotten a couple pretty big storms.
Yes, we have.
That have done some pretty good damage to our beaches here. I was walking my dog down there yesterday, and I walked from 8th to 15th, and there was hundreds of dead horseshoe crabs washing up. You go the other way, and there's 6-8 foot high cliffs where the dunes used to be. And it looks like, from what I can see from what I hear, I shouldn't say see, from what I hear from the meteorologist, is that this weather pattern of excessive storms, it's not lightening up anytime soon. So fingers crossed we can get through this winter, and more importantly this summer, with some of our most valuable asset intact.
It has taken a beating. The beach has taken a beating.
Yeah, and I feel like we just replenished a year ago, or
a year and a half.
Yeah, not even, and we're probably not scheduled for
2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, we're probably not scheduled again until 2026, maybe, or 2025.
I think later than that, bud.
No, they were. I thought they were doing it every 2 years now. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought the city.
Do not know.
We'll have to get someone on.
I don't think every 2 years
to fill us in here.
Yeah. We'll have to Google that, would you?
Sometime I will. No, because I'm pretty sure last year was they finished up last year in midsummer, I think. I really
Well,
want to
we've
say they
had
did.
3 sections. I'm fairly certain that the north end was 2 years ago, and then we had
No,
that midsection last year, and then this year we had the south end.
I don't know. I feel like no, I feel like it was last year because I remember walking through the double dunes last year with my kids. Like they
That might have
built
been one of my little Easter eggs I threw out there, Don.
maybe. I'll Google it later because if I Google it now, I'm gonna get yelled at. And I don't feel like getting yelled at. So I already got
So
sent to
another
the library today.
big item, Dom.
Yeah,
So
possibly the biggest.
yeah, this past council meeting, the city council um, passed a bond ordinance to complete the purchase of the property between 16th and 17th, and between Haven and Simpson Avenues. So as a little history, the city, so the city had a contract with the owners of the property to purchase the property for $9 million. That was back in 2019. So that's 5 years ago. And the city wanted to purchase that land to complete a swath of public space between 15th Street, which is Palmer Field, and 20th Street, which is the south end of the Ocean City Intermediate School. And that would complete that block is up until now was not city property.
It's the old Perry Egan car dealership.
The old Perry Egan car dealership.
Yes.
So the city was under contract to purchase the land. The local group Fairness and Taxes thought that the city was overpaying at $9 million. So
I think they valued it at around
6.5. Their value was 6.5. And I have to tell you, I received one of their valuation sheets that they came up with. And it was one of the most lopsided documents I've ever seen. I mean, it was just, they were throwing in everything they possibly could to reduce the value of the property, whether it was, applicable or not. Anyway, so what they did was they wanted to put it to a referendum and let the voters decide on whether the city should purchase the property at that value or not. So they circulated a petition. They got the required numbers of signatures and forced the city to go to referendum and let the voters decide whether to buy the property. Unfortunately, the contract they had expired prior to the referendum. So I guess the property owners were frustrated at all of this, and they went about and got planning board approval to build 22 single family homes on the property, which is exactly opposite of what the city wanted, right? They wanted less density, and the property owners were going for maximum density. It's similar to that coastal cottages at 13th and Haven.
Yep.
So
The
not
affordable single family homes
the
coming
affordable,
in
right?
At $650,000 brand new.
Right, $699, right? So not wanting that extreme density, the city went about acquiring the property through eminent domain. All right. So they acquired the property, but then there was a dispute on the current value, right? Several years later. So just in the past, whatever it's been, 30 or 60 days, the court decided that the current value of the property is over $17 million, and that the city owed the property owner interest on that money. So end of the day, it's going to cost the city roughly $20 million to require that parcel of the city block with another parcel of that block still to be purchased to complete the entirety of the acquisition. So that 20 million is not the entire block. That 20 million is the portion that's owned solely by the Klaus brothers. So the other portion is going to cost more to complete the entirety of the acquisition. And at the end of the day, it will probably be somewhere in the low $30 million range to buy that entire parcel, when it probably could have been purchased for somewhere in the $13-14 million range back in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's almost 100% increase, Drew. I thought we were done with those.
Almost.
It's more than 100%. I thought we were done with those here in 2024. No. Apparently,
and I have to say that, I don't think anybody's real happy at the city, the council, the mayor, the administration. Doesn't sound like it to me that anybody's real happy that this went down the way it went down. But I give them credit that they stood up and voted to basically stop the bleeding on this thing and just acquire the property. Because if this, they could have appealed that valuation, and we might be 2 years down the line and we may have saved $1 million on the valuation, but spent $3 million on interest, right?
Yeah.
So it was in everybody's best interest to stop the bleeding, end it, purchase the property, and be done with it. So I do give the city council credit for going ahead and making that decision, because that's a tough decision, right?
Yeah, you don't want that's a lot of money to spend.
That's a lot of money, and none of those guys want to be the guy who votes to spend $30 million, right?
No,
none of them want to do that. I'm sure that was very distasteful and difficult for them to do that, but they did it, and I give them credit. And you know what, Dom? Here's the way I look at it. In 30 years' time, when people talk about the purchase of this property for $30 million, they're going to laugh that it was only $30 million. It was only $30 million. And I'll give you a case in point. A number of years ago, the property that is now the Bayside Center, which is between 5th and 6th Street, on the bay, it's a full city block, basically, right?
That's pretty big. I would say it's probably a good 7 lots.
Way more than that, dude. Go look at it. That's way more than that.
I walked past it today.
Yeah, it's way more than 6 or 7 lots. Trust me.
It's probably half a block. I'll give you that. And it's so deep though too. That's deep too.
It's deep and wide. That's a big property.
Yeah.
Whatever, half, full lot, or full block, whatever it is. The city purchased that for $1 million.
Oh, wow.
$1 million.
Wow.
And there was a group of residents in town who opposed it because they felt it was too much money.
Wow.
Now, that property today, I would say, could be sold for $30 million. I believe that a developer would pay $30 million to buy that. They paid $1 million. So in 25 years, 35 years, whatever it is, $30 million for this lot between 16th and 17th is going to be it's going to be thought of as a bargain.
You have far more experience in land valuation than I do. So if you're saying that that's a $30 or $40 million lot, I'll give you that one.
Well, not for nothing, but there was a property down on Bay that just sold for, I don't know the exact number, but it was about $6 million.
Just the property?
Yeah.
No house or anything?
No, I think it's a vacant lot, $6 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah,
All right.
the
Yeah, I guess.
Bayside Center property is worth all of $30 million after spending one.
Yeah, because you could, if you have the condos right there, you could probably build a uh, pretty big resort there with quite a few units, and probably even get some commercial in there if you really wanted to.
If you wanted to, yeah.
You knew the right people if you were juiced in.
I think the value is in the residential currently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back to the Klaus property, I read today that the city is going to take a portion of that property and create elevated parking.
Yeah.
I don't, and that's a short-term solution, right? I don't know what the grand plan, the long-term plan is for that entire parcel.
Well, I think if you're building elevated parking, like, I mean, are you going to do multiple floors, or are you just going to have, one story of parking here, and then I guess you're going to have the jitneys running people in and out of town and into downtown and that and whatnot?
I don't know, Dom. I don't think the long-term plan is for that lot to be a parking lot.
Well, it's a
I
parking
think
lot already. You can park there whenever you want.
yeah, but I don't think that's the long-term plan.
No.
And no, I don't. And I have an idea for that parcel. I think I may have mentioned this to you before.
Yeah, definitely.
And it is, I'm sure, going to be a wildly unpopular idea, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. So, if we look back 100 years to the Flanders, the city, the residents of the city saw that the city needed a hotel in order to be competitive in the vacation rental market, right? They saw that as a need. So I'm looking at our current Ocean City, and what I see as the biggest need in Ocean City is affordable housing. In
Yeah,
fact,
agreed.
I would go so far as to say that the lack of affordable housing in Ocean City is an existential threat to our town. I think that if low and moderate income residents can't rent in Ocean City, they will leave, and that threatens our stores for lack of workers on a year-round basis. Acme, give you an example. Acme, if you work at the Acme and you can no longer afford to live in Ocean City, why work in Ocean City? Right? If you have to move out to Summers Point or Egg Harbor Township, why not work at the Summers Point or Egg Harbor Township Acme? Right? And that will happen. That will happen. Right? People who work at the Flanders, people who work on Asbury Avenue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're losing workers. The schools. So if you can't attract people to live in town because they can't afford to live in town, in some period of time, 10, 15, 20 years time, we will no longer have 3 school buildings in town because we just won't have the kids. So that's why I say that housing, affordable housing, is an existential threat to our community. Okay. Now, based on that, the city is acquiring a full city block between 15th and 16th, between Haven and Simpson. And on the west side of that block, on the west side of Haven, or excuse me, of Simpson, are apartment buildings, right, for 2 or 3 blocks. Mm-hmm. On the east side are either apartments or commercial space. I believe that the city should find a developer and make a deal with that developer, a long-term deal, and not give up ownership of the land, but make a deal with the developer through tax abatements and through profit sharing for a developer to come in and build a mid-rise apartment building that is affordable housing. Now, that's not low-income housing. That's not HUD housing. Let's be really clear. I'm not suggesting low-income housing. I'm suggesting affordable housing. In New York City, they have rent-restricted housing.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. So something along the lines of like rent control, rent restricted, where
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
You have a max rent that can be charged, and that is the rent for, the duration of the person's lease there. And
right. Or there's lots of moving parts, but think about police, fire, and teachers, young police, fire, and teachers. Right? You get hired to work in the Ocean City School District. You get hired to work in the Ocean City Police Department. They need a place to live, right? They can't be driving in from Belle Plaine, families with kids. There are layers to this, but it could be organized and developed so that you can bring in or keep Ocean City residents in town and not lose them. And it could be, look, the property is on the city docket now, right? So there's no taxes coming out of that property. Can you make a few bucks in parking? I would say very few at 16th and Haven, right?
Yeah.
You're not making, that's not Charlie lot, right? At 9th and
no, you're not paying $25 on a Saturday night to park there,
no,
only to take a jitney into the downtown strip of the boardwalk.
Right.
So
it's already generating zero income, right? With minimal potential to draw income. And again, it's not like you're taking. I'm suggesting we build an apartment building, in the middle of a residential neighborhood. This is already apartments and commercial, right?
Yeah,
it's what it is. It's apartments on one side and commercial on the other. You have the ball field on one side. You have the community center. You have the school. It's an ideal location for an apartment building. And I'm not talking 20 stories high, but the Flanders is 11 stories, Tom?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Whatever that is, let's duplicate it. Let's not put up something ugly, but let's duplicate the Flanders on that location. And let's put 1, 2, and 3 bedroom affordable apartments in there and keep our residents in town, keep workers in town, keep families in town. That's my idea. I know there's going to be people that hate that idea. I know there's people that are going to think I'm the village idiot for suggesting that. But
well, you don't really have to look that far to see how development has impacted the community. Look at Sea Isle. Sea Isle is an example where affordable housing has become few and far between, and they don't have a school anymore.
School closed.
Look down to Stone Harbor. Same situation.
Holding on by the skin of their teeth.
Avalon.
And Stone Harbor, even though their school is open, if you go to Avalon and Stone Harbor at 5:05 p.m. on a weeknight, it's a ghost town.
Yeah, there's no one around. There's nothing.
There's nobody living there. Nobody.
No. Because there's nothing open. There's nothing to.
Right.
Outside of that,
what we want in Ocean City? Do we want to be Avalon? Do we want to be Stone Harbor? Do we want our Acme to close down? And hey, don't think that can't happen. That could happen like that. Both Acme's closed. CVS closed, right?
Yeah.
All these little stores gone.
Yeah.
Our Boyers. I'm not saying any. I don't want to insult anybody. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me mad. I'm just saying that if we keep losing our year-round population because of a lack of affordable housing, and it's happening every day. Every day, a lease is expiring. The tenant is being asked to leave because they've sold the property and the owners want to use it themselves. They want to rent it for $6,000 a week, right?
Yeah.
Or the place is being torn down, and there's another year-round tenant who can't find anything affordable in Ocean City, and they're moving offshore. They're going to Summers Point, EHT, and Mays Landing, right? And it's happening every day.
They're going farther than Summers Point because it's not really affordable in Summers Point anymore either. It's quite expensive there. I mean, 2-3 bedroom houses are going for $2,500 a month.
So this is an existential threat to Ocean City. And look, I don't have all the answers, but the city just required they're about to acquire a full city block in the heart of Ocean City, nestled between apartments, current apartments, and commercial. It would be, and I'm not saying it would be easy. I'm painting an easy picture. It wouldn't be easy. There's a lot of moving parts, and you'd have to bring in pretty smart people to figure out, all the details. But building the Flanders wasn't easy either, I'm sure.
No, right? Well, the city has those people in place. They have smart people. They have, like Jay was saying, Mayor Jay was saying on our previous episode, he's got a great team around him. And I think, if this was something that the city really wanted to do and felt there was value in it, they could definitely get it done. Because like you said, they made the decision already to stop the bleeding on the project and move forward and just, bite the bullet on it. It seems like, when push comes to shove, thankfully the people that are in place within the inner workings of the city can get things done. And I agree with you, Drew. I think affordable housing is very few and far between. I'm going to knock on wood and not going to lie. I was very lucky to get on the island when I did and get my little piece of it when I did, because right now there'd be no way that I could afford to live here. I don't know where I would be.
Sure. How many people can say that too?
Well,
hey, I'm throwing that out to the universe, and maybe someone at the city will hear it and consider.
Yeah, well, you could always have some people on and guests on and ask them a question about it.
There you go.
See what they think. So
we do have some guests coming on over the course of the next couple months, and we do have some guests in mind for the Local Legends series. So maybe some of those will cross-reference, and I'm looking forward to that. I think we have some if they agree to come on. A couple have, and a couple we haven't approached yet, but for both the Local Legends and for just some interviews and some topics, we have some pretty good people lined up. Wouldn't you think, Dom?
You're just going to have to listen and find out. Have to listen and find out. So, well, listen, man, it's cold. I'm going to go tuck myself under the covers and get to bed here. Because 4:30 in the morning is going to be here before I know it. And I don't even want to know what the temperature is going to be at that time.
4:30.
Yeah, man, got to get up. Got to, Beach Bod is not made
brother.
in
not 4:30.
It's not made in July. It's made in January. It's also made in the kitchen where I still am losing the battle. But it's a good time.
Hey, it could be made at 7:30. It ain't being made at 4:30.
No, man. Well, for you, I got kids I got to get to school. I got work I got to do. I'm not on the retired man schedule here.
This is true.
You
This is
know,
true.
I got a boss breathing down my neck constantly, just sending me emails, telling me stuff to do.
Even when I was on the schedule, 4:30 a.m.
Yeah, no, it's
wasn't on the radar.
hey, man. Listen, it's a great way to start the day.
You drink 2 raw eggs when you get up at 4:30?
Um, no, that's afterwards. I usually go out in the garage this time of year and just bang the beef carcass that's hanging in the garage slash freezer, get a little warmed up, and then head out. But no, man, it's a great way to start the day. I highly suggest it. Get up, get moving, challenge yourself physically and mentally, and then go about your day. The rest is pretty easy. So, but
If you say so, my friend.
hey, man, I'll give a shout out to Saltwater Athletic in Summers Point over there. 2 free weeks to any newbies if you want to come join. I'm there at 5:30 every day, but there's classes at 7:30, I think 9:30 or 7:30, 8:30. There's some in the afternoon too. 5:30 is where it's at. That's where all the fun people are.
Yeah.
Saltwater Athletic, Summers Point. Check it out. Definitely worth it. Great community, great times. Come on over, Drew. There's been there's been some senior
5:30,
citizens there too.
It's not happening. It is not happening.
They weren't as fast as you, but there's been some some older members there. So, but yeah, man. Well, we appreciate you listening. Here, stay tuned in 2024 for all the exciting guests and fun things we have coming up. Thanks as always for your support. This has been the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your hosts, Dominick Dougherty and Drew Fasy.
And we are your local guys. And